Hello, you're watching Uzreport World News and I'm Bahram Ghafarov. In an effort to alleviate the possible negative effect of the pandemic on the economy of Uzbekistan, an anti-crisis fund of $1 billion is being created under the umbrella of Ministry of Finance. The funds will be used to support the actions in place to combat the spread of coronavirus, support businesses and social sphere workers. President of Uzbekistan held a video conference on March 19 and discussed the risk of 1.8% decline in the growth of GDP in Uzbekistan this year. It was forecast that the exports will decline by $1.1 billion, foreign exchange earnings by $500 million, tourism revenues are expected to fall by $150 million, and the implementation of foreign investment projects worth $2 billion will be delayed. As of Friday, March 20, the number of confirmed cases of novel coronavirus in Uzbekistan has reached 33. Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister of Justice has stated that anyone who has symptoms of COVID-19 and hides their illness while knowingly infecting others will face prison time. The spreading of false information and instigation of panic regarding the current outbreak of the virus will also be punishable by law. The government urges the public to remain calm and assures them that all efforts to stem the spread of virus are being made. The Ministry of Transport has reported that starting from March 20, there will be a 40-day suspension on all passenger transport by bus, car, railroad and aid to international destinations. Freight transport operations by road, air, rail or river for foreign trade of goods will continue as normal. Since March 19, the Tashkent Transport Company, which operates the city's overground public transport, has temporarily reduced the number of public transit buses in circulation. According to the company, this is partly due to the smaller number of passengers using the transport services during the off-peak times. As a result of the quarantine, many students from other regions of the country have returned home, as well as many companies and organizations and educational institutions have moved to working remotely. As previously reported, since March 16, all educational institutions have been closed as a precaution against coronavirus. At a press conference on the matter, the Minister of Public Education announced that lessons will be delivered online and via the TV during quarantine. Currently, the preparations are underway to implement the remote learning system. Since March 19, Tashkent Zoo has announced the suspension of all activities for the public due to the threat of the spread of coronavirus. We are forced to do this for your safety. You don't have to worry about the animals, as the zoologists and keepers will not stop their work and will remain at their posts. The officials of the zoo said in a statement. The Tashkent Botanical Garden, however, remains open.
The Iranian New Year is usually a joyous occasion, but the exuberance is a bit subdued by the torrent of news and measures being implemented to hinder the spread of the novel coronavirus in the country. The Iranian New Year is known as Nowruz and falls on March 20th this year. The novel coronavirus started sweeping through major Iranian cities last month, and it was officially announced on Thursday that 18,407 people in Iran have contracted the virus, of whom 1,284 have died. Iranians are now being advised to stay at home and to put themselves in voluntary quarantine to avoid unnecessary contact. Some have even cancelled New Year travel plans in adherence to these new warnings. Though, despite reports of some people disregarding warnings to still prepare for the New Year celebration, retailers, confectionaries, airliners, transport services and hotel managers have complained about the negative impact of the viral concerns. This year, there were some concerns about the novel coronavirus. People want to follow the advice to avoid unnecessary contact and traveling. Unlike previous New Years, people are not happy and enthusiastic this year. The epidemic has also affected my business and I have fewer customers, said Saeed, a grocery store owner. Coupled with the warnings and people's compliance with the precautionary measures, the Iranian officials have taken steps to slow down the rampant pace of the disease. Many people have decided to cancel family reunions, as tradition has the younger members of families visit the elderly to celebrate the start of spring. Instead, many said that messaging and phone calls would be sufficient for the New Year wishes this year. I don't think most people will have a real holiday celebration this year. All businesses have been hit hard by the outbreak. I used to go back home in the northern province of Iran every New Year, but this year I'd better not to go anywhere. I also told my old friends who used to get together not to visit each other this year, said Ahmad, a resident. As the New Year dawns, many are hoping that the outbreak will be over earlier than later. Iran is the hardest hit country in the Middle East, as 50 Iranians are infected with the novel coronavirus every hour, while one Iranian dies from the disease every 10 minutes. A cruise ship docked at the Italian port of Genoa on Friday is said to become a hospital for people suffering from coronavirus as Italy's death toll overtook that of China, where the virus first emerged. The splendid cruise ship is expected to look after patients from next week, as overwhelmed hospitals in Italy struggle to cope with a growing number of people testing positive for the virus. At Italy's busiest airport, Rome's Fiumicino, police made checks on the very few passengers still traveling. All people leaving their homes in Italy must carry a self-certification document that states the reason why they are not indoors. Italy went into viral lockdown before other countries in Europe, but with cases still rising, the government is considering even tougher measures that would further restrict the limited amount of outdoor movement currently permitted.
To suppress and control the epidemics, countries must isolate, test, treat, and trace. If they don't, transmission chains can continue at a low level, then resurge once physical distancing measures are lifted. WHO continues to call on all countries to implement a comprehensive approach with the aim of slowing down transmission and flattening the curve. This approach is saving lives and buying time for the development of vaccines and treatments. As you know, the first vaccine trial has begun just 60 days after the genetic sequence of the virus was shared by China. This is an incredible achievement. Many countries now face escalating epidemics and are feeling overwhelmed. We hear you. We know the tremendous difficulties you face and the enormous burden you are under. We understand the heart-wrenching choices you are having to make.
Images from the European Space Agency Copernicus satellite released on Thursday revealed a dramatic reduction in nitrogen dioxide emissions in all major Chinese cities between 20th of December 2019 and 16th of March 2020. Stricter measures were put in place in China after the outbreak of coronavirus in Hubei province in December 2019. This resulted in factories and streets being closed as Chinese authorities attempted to stop the spread of the virus. The drop in emissions that were released by power plants, industrial facilities and vehicles also coincided with Lunar New Year celebrations, which usually sees a similar drop in emissions each year. The Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service combined satellite observations with detailed computer models of the atmosphere to get these results. A similar drop in pollution was seen in Italy over the same period. The country's death toll from coronavirus overtook that of China. On Thursday, as hospitals said they were being overwhelmed and the government prepared to prolong emergency lockdown measures. Tokyo 2020 organizers received the Olympic flame in a scaled-down handover ceremony in the Greek capital on Thursday, amid the coronavirus spread that has cast doubt on the global multi-billion-dollar event. In a brief ceremony close to spectators in Athens' Panathinaikos Stadium, site of the first modern games in 1896, the torch was received by Tokyo Games representative Naoki Imoto. The Hellenic Olympic Committee President Spyros Kapralis said he hoped the spirit of the flame could extinguish the virus and defeat it. It will arrive in Japan on Friday and kick off a domestic relay on March 26th, with the games set to take place from July 24th to August 9th. The scale of the spreading coronavirus, which has infected more than 200,000 people and killed more than 8,700 across the world, has forced the cancellation of numerous sporting events, raising concerns about whether the Olympics will be able to open as planned. The International Olympic Committee and the Japanese government, however, have insisted the games will go ahead. Greece's Olympic Committee chief Spyros Kapralis handed over the lit torch to the Japanese former Olympic swimmer Imoto in front of empty stands inside the vast 50,000 capacity horseshoe-shaped marble stadium. The flame was then transferred into a small receptacle to travel to Japan aboard a special aircraft named Tokyo 2020 Go. Only a few dozen officials were allowed into the central Athens stadium as the country has imposed strict measures to contain the spread of the virus. Tokyo Games chief Yoshiro Mori said in a video message he hoped the flame's arrival would help shake off the dark clouds hanging over the world. The plane will land at Matsushima Air Base in Miyagi Prefecture on Friday.
These were the latest news for today. Goodbye.